Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, networking groups come and go every day here in Dallas. You'll meet the founder of Success North Dallas, 34 years and counting. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, there are a lot of reasons why networking groups come and go. Sometimes they don't have interesting speakers. Sometimes they have a bunch of people who are trying to sell you something, and you feel like you're just being surrounded as soon as you walk in the door. But the secret to longevity is held by the man sitting next to me right now, Bill Wallace, Success North Dallas, 34 years. That's unbelievable.
Oh, Jeff, when I started it, I thought it'd go 3 to 5 years. I'd pay my dues. I'd separate myself from the herd. But lo and behold, some big guy upstairs got a hold of it. And here we are 34 years later talking about the next 34 years. And I never, ever would have believed it.
All right, tell everybody the early days. How did this all start?
The early days. Oh, you just take me back. In 1979, I got a letter. That letter said, "Would you help us build a house?" And I was a somewhat arrogant 29-year-old and got the idea they couldn't do it without me. And that was the Ronald McDonald House of Dallas. And 6 months after it opened, I was down there playing with some kids. And walking to the car, I had tears in my eyes. And I was vice president of community interaction or some such thing. And I got to the car and I started crying. And I realized that that was the most self-serving thing I'd ever done in my life, that was the gas in my tank. And through that event, I met Herb Kelleher, Southwest Airlines. They were cooking one night a week at the house, and I had this crazy idea that perhaps he could do a public service announcement, a PSA for the Ronald McDonald House at Christmas. And I didn't know how to talk to him, and all of this. And so I talked to one of the ladies there from in-flight and asked if Mr. Kelleher could possibly do that. She said, "Well, let me connect you with him, but if you call him Mr. Kelleher, he won't do it," which really was a summation of Herb. And not only did he say yes, I said, "I'll get a camera crew." He said, "Oh, no, I'll bring my own. We'll be down there for an hour." And got there at 10, left at 5. And it started something great between Southwest Airlines and Ronald McDonald House, but between Herb Kelleher and myself. And Herb actually became my mentor. And in 1983, my other mentor, Roger Meyer, Cadillac dealer, Herb, airline guy. I was pretty lucky. Cadillac dealer and airline guy?
What
else could I ask for?
Great connections.
We're sitting in Herb's office, and I believe it was still at the Rotunda before they even moved in their first headquarters. And Herb looked at me and he said, "Wallace, when you figure out why I should do business with you, come back. Now get out and figure it out." And that was in March of '88. And for the next 5 months, I went to 48 documented different networking groups in North Texas, from the Rotaries to the Lions Clubs to the this to the that. And I looked for everything that people did not like in networking. And so I went back to Herb and Roger, and I said, "I'm going to start this high-level networking group, mentor group, informal board of directors, whatever moniker you want to put on it. But something, as you've said, to set myself apart from the herd." And they both said yes. And so I went down the list, eliminating card pushers, pitch bookers, selling of wares, and found a Buddhist word, sadhana, a taboo against what makes one feel uncomfortable. So I got cute and I said, I'm going to put a sadhana against all of this. And the last one was women. I said, 1988, it wasn't cool to have women in networking. And Herb said, yeah. And I said, except women. And he said, you're going to have a problem. And I'll never forget this and the look on his face. I said, no, sir, I'm going to have a big, now he doesn't like sir or mister. No, sir, I'm going to have a big problem. We're going to be a minimum of 30% women from day one. And I was told I was an idiot. I was stupid. It would never work. And Jeff, I got to tell you, he stood up and looked at me and he said, well, I gave him hot pants and booze. You give him women and networking. And I never realized how prophetic that statement was until the only luncheon we've ever done, our 25th anniversary. And we can talk more about that later, but I looked out at the crowd, and it was one of my proudest moments. The room was 50% women. And the women in this market and this nation, this state, helped me by being my disruptors to create transformational change in networking throughout the U.S. And if I have one legacy moment of the many, many, many I have, that's right up at the top.
We're going to show a little video of Success North Dallas so people can get a feel for this. Prestonwood Country Club every third Wednesday of the month. And this is you presenting Tricia Ben from C-Suite with an amazing book, and then I think you later present her with some cowboy boots or something like that.
Oh, we made her an honorary Texan.
That's right.
She had become a U.S. citizen during COVID. No celebration, Zoom. Only picture she had was a flag, American flag, outside of her house in Pittsburgh, and standing beside it. So we thought, well, we're going to show you what Texas is all about. We made her an honorary Texan, a Texas flag, the boots, and she started crying. So did a lot of people in the room.
I want you to go ahead and brag, rattle off some of the big names that you've had over the years.
Oh, my goodness. Brent Ryan, Craig Hall, and when Craig calls you back and asks you if you have a room for him to speak, you say, well, of course. Yeah, I've got another book coming out. And Colleen Barrett, the head of the SEC, flying in from Washington, the head of Scotland Yard.
Phil Romano,
Fuddruckers to EATSEs to so many things in between. Donnie Nelson, former GM of the Mavericks, who has backed so many country western bands you couldn't believe.
Ben Carson.
Dr. Ben Carson. And we don't have political candidates who are running for office or in office who are running for office speak. But we had booked Ben Carson 60 days before he announced for president.
Wow.
And he, on his own dime, because we've never paid a speaker or their expenses in all of these years from all over the world. And on his own dime, he wouldn't even let us do a fundraiser for him. He said, I know the tenets of Success North Dallas. You do not pay speakers or their expenses, and I will not violate that tenet. He and his son flew in on a Tuesday evening and flew out on Wednesday late morning after he spoke. And I think, though, if I look at all of the speakers we've had, certainly these two are not the greatest names, but they're the most impactful. 10 days after 9/11, we had the chief economist of the Federal Reserve booked to speak. He called me personally and said, Bill, I cannot speak. Only Greenspan is speaking. And he said, but I have sent your website to Greenspan and said, if we speak anywhere, we need to speak here. So he calls me on Monday morning before Success North Dallas, the Wednesday. He said, Bill, I've been cleared to speak, but you cannot put it out there. Just let it go the way it is, but I will be there if you still want me. And I thought, if I still want you. So he spoke, and lo and behold, unbeknownst to me, there was Secret Service out on our Department of Homeland Security people out on the golf course in the parking lot. And as a result of this talk, I got a call on Sunday afternoon on my, quote, unlisted line from a gentleman that said he was SEC, Special Agent in charge of the Dallas FBI. And he said, we were at your meeting, and I'd like to talk to you about it. Well, I, of course, thought it was Jeff Crilley playing a joke on me. And he had found some voiceover guy to do this. And I said so. And he said, well, you can call my office, and they'll put you directly through to my home. And I said, okay, tell me more. He said, we'll be declassified Tuesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Dallas time, 5 p.m. Eastern time, and because of the manner in which Success North Dallas handled themselves for the chief economist of the Fed, we'd like to give our first talk there. And Danny showed up, and this was back in the overhead projector days, with a stack of vellum slides, and he said, you'll have to excuse me, but some of these are marked top secret classified, and we haven't had a chance to alter them since last night, but we've altered most of them. And these are the pictures we took at Ground Zero. And he started to talk like this. I'm getting tears in my eyes. He said, many of you, most of you, don't realize that the investigation into 9/11 was launched 30 seconds after the second plane hit out of the Dallas field office, because we were considered the least vulnerable at that point in time. And for the next 45 minutes, you could have heard a pin drop in that room. And somebody says, well, so how do you get such great speakers? I said, the old-fashioned way. We ask them, and quite often they ask us, because of not me, but all the people in the room. Jeff, the people that have to this date started 105 companies, 1,250 plus jobs, and 8 Ernst & Young Entrepreneurs of the Year. And if you think I ever thought of this between March and October of 1988, oh, you're so wrong. I never thought of this.
Well, I've been so proud of the quality of speakers and the fact that they're flying in on their own dime to speak. And one of them was Michael E. Gerber from the E-Myth. My team actually shot a piece. Let's go ahead and roll that now.
You can do things you never imagined possible before.
Dozens of entrepreneurs signed in, grabbed a plate, and took a seat to learn about ways they can improve to make their company better. Success North Dallas, an organization made up of businessmen and women, hosted Michael E. Gerber and Fred Parrish. Both men wrote the book, The E-Myth, Chief Financial Officer, Why Most Small Businesses Run Out of Money and What to Do About It.
Most small companies, even years after they've been operating, have no CFOs.
According to the website Small Biz Trends, more than half of small businesses won't make it past 5 years. Gerber and Parrish say it's because they are not keeping track of the money.
A lot of companies call their bookkeepers CFOs, and just because they think the bank is going to like that. But it really puts them in a position of risk.
Fred really gets what's happening in most businesses and their needs for the financial data to be in an understandable manner and what the future of that function is.
Many times it's the small businesses owned by younger people that fail. Small Biz Trends says 16% of small business owners are 35 years old or younger. The number of younger people starting a business is expected to rise.
It's the young people, the people who aren't certain what they're going to do. In fact, high school dropouts, college dropouts, people returning from the military, mothers with 3 kids but don't know what to do to make a living, to go beyond where they are.
Parrish says having a chief financial officer will help businesses stay afloat. Even if your business has a good jump start, it doesn't mean things can't change years later. Gerber and Parrish want to give hope to anyone who has a dream of working for themselves.
Rise above your life, to be able to see your life from a 30,000-foot perspective. You have to get up there to see down here.
What was amazing about Michael is that he took very complex business topics and made them very simple. So you hear a lot about processes, systems, and using them in business, but Michael made it very understandable.
For Real News, I'm Sarah Macias.
Incredible. And Bill, I know you're very proud that for most of those years, you didn't miss a single meeting. You've had a couple of health scares. One, really, you almost died.
Yeah, I had ended up in the hospital for 5 weeks, 12 transfusions. I coded twice, and 8 different things I'd never had before in my life. Just a domino effect. And it brought me back to my mortality and something that we'd been working on for 10 years, knowing that we needed to do it, but deeply for the past 2, and that was succession planning, or is succession planning. And so when I was in the hospital, literally, I pulled the trigger on it. And that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. But I'm out, I'm well, I'm still at it. And as the title of the talk on Success North Dallas today, Not Done Yet, exemplifies that not only am I not done yet, Success North Dallas is not done yet. And won't be done for another 34 years when somebody else says, oh, I've been doing this 34 years, I need to pass this on. And hopefully that succession continues on and on and on.
Absolutely. We're going to talk more about the succession plan in a moment, but one of the things I'm most impressed is that you really are reaching out to that next generation. And so let's talk about the young executives, and we've got some video of one of their happy hours. This is a vibrant group, isn't it, Bill?
Oh, it's beyond all expectation. We started it the year before COVID. COVID kind of gave us COVID tried to give us a knockout punch, and it didn't work. But it did get us down on the mat. And since COVID, we've refocused on it, and it has been beyond everybody's expectation. These young men and women, young at heart, have stepped up in a manner that makes me take a step back and say, Success North Dallas is in good hands.
Wow. Okay, so let me take you back to the hospital. You're in the hospital, and obviously you're praying that you can survive. How much of your thoughts during that time were on what's going to happen at Success North Dallas?
A lot, because in many ways, it's my legacy. It's, yes, I was in the insurance business. Yes, I had a great career. Loved everything I'd done. Yes, I speak now. I connect people. I work with the National Speakers Association, or did right before COVID. And I love all of that. But Success North Dallas is a legacy. And a lot of my time. In fact, I had my attorneys literally come to the hospital.
Wow.
And we and my number 2, Jan Claudner, we sat there and had some very deep discussions on this and on, could I let it go? That was the biggest issue. Could I, and my passion and my ego and my heart, let it go? And obviously, I'm never going to let it go, but it's time. And that was tough.
I remember you zooming into one of the meetings from the hospital bed and getting a standing ovation from the crowd. That was a really emotional time. It had to be for you.
There were 200 people in the room, and I've missed 2 meetings in 34 years. And that was, excuse me, that was more than emotional. That was more than emotional, because I've always lived my life as best that I could to love on others. And the irony of it is, if you love on others, they love on you back. And that's been a backbone of Success North Dallas. Jeff, as you well know, but for you all out there, our qualifications for membership are be a success in your own eyes. No one has the right to define what success is for you but you. Honor your commitments. Let's go back to the handshake and be a giver. It's all about our fellow men and women. And that's it. That's it. There's not this litany of things or 5 pages. It's just those simple statements. And it's amazing the people that come in that don't fit that and how quickly they self-select themselves out.
There are countless volunteers that have helped you over the years, but I want to give you a chance to identify 3 of them who I really believe are the backbone of the whole organization: Jan Clodner, Casey Haston, and Andrew Reed. What would you like to share?
Well, Jan Clodner was I played racquetball with him, and a lot of his insurance was messed up, and he said, would you mind looking at this? And I thought, okay, I'd love to. And we talked, and I became his insurance agent. But through the course of the racquetball and that, we became very close friends. And I started Success North Dallas in October of 1988. And in mid to late 89, Jan started coming, not off and on, but every time, and started helping me. In 10 years, 12 years, 15, whenever websites came out, because I'm not a technocrat. I can barely turn on a computer. But he calls me up. This is at Christmas. And he said, have you looked at your website? I said, what website? He said, oh, Merry Christmas. And since then, he's maintained our website, our constant contact, our PayPal, for these many years, because I was back in the insurance business. I was security licensed. I couldn't even have my name on the checkbook. And we are a for-profit company, but we operate as a nonprofit. It's not about the money. We got extra money at the end of the year, we give it away. It's not about the money. It's about the people and the heart and soul of the people. So Jan Clodner, of all the people, exemplifies what Success North Dallas is all about. And last year we started the Jan Clodner Award and gave the first one, of course, to Jan. But as an ongoing legacy event, every March we will present the Jan Clodner Award for service above self, whether it be in Success North Dallas in the community, and for caring, giving love. Very simple. So that's Jan. 2 years ago, Casey Haston came into the world in my life. And she's with a company called VIP. They're an incredible accounting search firm. And she said, I want to know more about what you do. I want to get involved. And the next thing I knew, she was walking in step with me all of the time. And I'm looking at her because I had looked, and I tried it twice on this succession stuff. And believe me, I really wanted a woman to succeed me because of the history of the fact we're here today because of you ladies out there. We're here today because of your trust, your passion, you're having our backs, and you're sharing with us the networks just like we shared with you. That's why. So I wanted a woman. I tried it. Didn't work. And then I'm looking over at Casey, and so we started having conversations. Her firm started backing financially the young executives. Oh, this is nice. The ownership got involved, and Casey got more and more involved. And so we had talked about perhaps her stepping in for me in 2 more years. Well, the hospital changed all of that. And so Casey will be coming in as the CEO, and I'm so glad, and I'm so honored to have her. I'll become chairman. Hey, I'm going to be a chairman. Oh, my goodness. And they didn't even make me become chairman emeritus. But I'll be chairman. So I'll be working with our partner members, helping with the speakers, but that's it. And believe me, people say, oh, you do this meeting all the time. They're easy to prepare for. They are not. They are not. And so Casey's right here. And then Andrew Reed. Andrew is a young intellectual property attorney who is absolutely brilliant. And he's a technocrat. And so he started working with Jan about a year ago. He came in one day and he said, look, we got to get a new mixing board. The club's just, it's not good. He said, we can make this much better. So he goes out and buys it himself. He comes in with cables. He said, we're going to do it this way. And Jan and I are looking at him. Okay. And he jumped in, because this is what Jan did. And he jumped in. And then the next thing, because our young executives, they have mentors. The next thing he did, and Andrew's now president of our young executives as well. He asked Jan to mentor him. Jan called me up and said, I like this kid. I think we found that one person. I think we found him. And so he has been shadowing and working with Jan, and basically the last 6 months, he and Jan have been doing a lot of stuff jointly, and he's taken over all the slide decks, all the meeting technology prep, just like Casey's taken over a bunch of stuff from me. And so all I can say is we have two superstars, two world changers in Casey Haston and Andrew Reed. And I can only look upstairs and say thank you, because I'd been trying to look on my own, and it was when I shut up and listened, when I quit trying to fill the silence because it's already full, just listened, and that took the hospital to do. And I'll never forget laying in that bed, because for a while I couldn't sit up, turn over, anything, and thinking about this and thinking, quit trying to make it difficult. You already have the succession in place. It's like Bob Beaudine's book, The Power of Who. In your circle, you already have those 12 people, your who, that are going to take you to the next level. You just don't know who they are. The Power of Who. Then he wrote 2 Chairs. Oh my gosh. And I realized that I had my who. I had my who right there in front of me. And so I called him up. And that was a most interesting conversation. Well, we were thinking it would happen, but October? And this was back in May, when I was still in the hospital. I'll never forget, Casey, we can't have any more time than that? And Andrew just started laughing. I think Andrew said, there's no time like the present.
All right, Bill, we have about 2 minutes left. Final thoughts. What would you like to leave people with?
If it's not fun, don't do it. If you have to do it, find a way to make it fun first. You can. And always make sure your life is filled with double wins. And if it's not a double win, fix it or get out now, not tomorrow. And remember what legacy is all about. It's not so much your name on the building, but it's your footprints walk through here. And in parting, because I love it, but go to successnorthdallas.com. Sign up for our emails. We do happy hours. We just did one at a brand new restaurant at the Star, the Glen. We do our regular monthly meetings from 7 to 9 a.m. the third Wednesday of every month. And our young executives meet the second Tuesday of every month, right now at the Blue Mesa in Addison. But be consistent, be passionate in your love, and shower others with it. And you'll lead a better life. And so, as I close every meeting, and have for over 25 years, may you do what you love to do with people you love to do it with on purpose. God bless and Godspeed. And thank you for 34 of the most incredible years of my life.
Wow, Bill. You got me. That's going to
I got me too.
Let's end with the website, which is successnorthdallas.com. The great Bill Wallace. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jeff, my friend.
That's it for now.